Android Studio. 6.1. Create a dice class. All dice are essentially the same. They have the same properties, such as edges. And they have the same behavior, for example, they can be rolled. In Kotlin, you can create a blueprint for dice programming that says that dice have sides and can roll a random number. This blueprint is called a class. You can then create actual dice objects from this class, called object instances.
IP. A class similar to how the architect's blueprint plan is not a house. They are instructions on how to build a house. A house is an actual thing or an instance of an object created from a blueprint.
Define a dice class. 1. Create the dice class. Below this main function, add a blank line, and then add the code to create the dice class. Note: similar to using the fun keyword to create a new function in Kotlin, use the class keyword to create a new category. By convention, class names are written in uppercase camel case, also known as Pascal casing. For example, car, parking meter and customer record are all valid class names. 2. Add sides variable. In the class definition, you can use variables to specify one or more properties for the class. Real dice can have a number of sides, a color, or a weight. In the dice class, add a var called sides for the number of sides your dice will have. Set the edge to 6. Create an instance of the dice class. 1. Create an object instance of dice. In the main function, create a val named myFirstDice and initialize it as an instance of the dice class. Note the brackets after the class name, which means that you are creating a new instance of the object from that class. Now you have a myFirstDice object, something made from blueprints. You can get its properties. 2. Add a print line statement. The only property of dice is its edges. You access a property using the dot notation. Therefore, to get the side property of myFirstDice, which is pronounced myFirstDice.sides. Below the declaration of myFirstDice, add a print line statement to output the number of sides of myFirstDice. 3. Run your program. Run your program, it should output the number of edges defined in the dice class. You now have a dice class and an actual dice myFirstDice with 6 faces. Make the dice roll. 1. Create a new function for rolling the dice. In the dice class, under the sides variable, insert a blank line and then create a new function for rolling the dice. A function defined in the class are also called methods. Since everything can be rolled, you can add a function to it in the dice class. Start with the Kotlin keyword fun, followed by the method name, followed by parentheses, followed by opening and closing curly braces. 2. Create a val, random number. When you roll a hexahedron, it will generate a random number between 1 and 6. Inside the roll method, create a val random number. Assign a random number in the range of 1, 6. Use dot notation to call random on the range. After generating the random number, print it to the console. 3. Roll my first dice. To actually roll my first dice, call the roll method on my first dice in main. You use dot notation to call the method. 4. Run your code. Run your code. You should see the result of a random dice roll under the number of sides. Run your code several times, and note that the number of edges remains the same, and the dice roll value changes.